So, before I start the next part, I would just like to take this moment to mention that I am an idiot. So this is actually a village that you can visit. And you get the tutorial if you select someone because this is easy mode. Yeah, that might be why I'd forgotten about this village because I've never played easy, so your attention isn't really drawn to this on the higher difficulties. I also blame the fact that I've watched that one speedrun of Radiant Dawn a lot, and the speedrun obviously ignores this village. And all you get out of it is a vulnerary, so the main playthrough will not have this vulnerary. Really, losing it is not the end of the world, but I'm glad that I at least showed this now, just so people can stop asking me about it. Yeah, that was dumb. Back to your regularly scheduled Radiant Dawn playthrough. Welcome back to Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Last time we were forced to flee our base, and Micaiah saved a child due to getting a vision. Now, what's next for us, now that we've been chased out of Navasa? Short answer, essentially filler, but enjoyable filler, at least from a gameplay standpoint. Chapter 2, The Dispossessed. What, the new name for the Dwarf faction in Warhammer? This line's kind of interesting. Many people consider this to be a fictional unit of time invented for this universe. Actually, marks are a real archaic Japanese unit of measuring time. Something that I learned from looking at translation blogs, which is actually pretty cool. Leonardo's not going to like that. According to his profile, he's kind of a neat freak and hates bugs, which makes sense seeing as Leonardo is a former noble. You don't get much backstory on Nolan, Edward, and Leonardo in the game itself, but there was some supplementary material that did give them backstories, and I'll be talking about that when I get the first opportunity to give tangents. Because for now, there's a lot to talk about both gameplay and story-wise. Story-wise, we're meeting a new character here, Laura. And she's going to be giving us our quick filler quest. Not related at all to our overall goals, but I guess anything that screws with Bednion is good for us. And you know, more opportunity to do our whole Robin Hood act. Lord Kizka's Manor. Someone who I don't believe ever appears. I wonder how you were here. On normal business or on thief business? Valuables, huh? That'll mean Soth will be useful for this operation. We need the experience. Don't worry about it. And like many of the early game chapters, they get straight to the point. In fact, we just go right into the map now. Laura is a healer, and that's really all she needs to be. But because she's our first healer, I need to explain one of the silliest game mechanics in Radiant Dawn. Staff users can now bonk things on the head with their staffs as a counterattack. Yes, it's just as ineffectual as you're thinking. All staffs have 1 might and 100 hits, and given how terrible the strength stats are on most staff users, you're not going to be doing much damage with staff counters. The one, I guess, kind of saving grace is that some staffs do have a high crit ratio, but the only real reason to try and kill things with staffs is for comedy. And the whole staff counter system causes one massive problem for healers. If you use a staff to heal on the player phase, that character will automatically equip that staff for the enemy phase, even if they had, say, a light tome, or in the case of some classes, a sword that they would much rather use for counterattacking. As you can tell, this is really bad. One of the great things about hybrid healer/fighters in earlier games is that you could heal people without sacrificing your power on the enemy phase. Here, you have to give that up if you want to heal. Equipable staffs have only 2 positives in my opinion. The first is that every staff has an effect that it bestows to whoever equips it. These range from small amounts of per turn healing to stat boosts, to curing yourself of status at the start of every turn. The second is that while staff counters are no threat to pretty much anything, the AI still considers them a counterattack, which means they might avoid attacking your healers, if there's someone unarmed also within their range. But enough about that, on to Laura herself. There's really not much to say, Laura just heals, and being the only healer the Dawn Brigade has for a very long time makes her extremely useful. But can she do stuff beyond healing? Well, technically yes, but the question is, would you want her to? Laura is a prime example of why caps matter. Her growths look really good on paper. Heck, I wish Micaiah had those growths. But Micaiah existing is Laura's real problem. That means that not only does the Dawn Brigade have a light/staff user already who's forced, but if you look back to Micaiah's caps, Laura's 3rd tier caps are inferior to Micaiah's in every way except 1 point of strength. It's really a shame because, like I said, Laura's growths are very good, so if her caps were a little higher, she might have had potential. But as it stands, there's no real point to training her because Micaiah fulfills the exact same role she does in 3rd tier, but better. And Micaiah is forced to endgame, so you know what that means. Don't get me wrong though, Laura is still very useful for healing.
Also, I love this song. It's called Hymn of the Righteous. It's just such a relaxing song, and it's one of my favourite songs in the game. So here we are in an indoor chapter. In indoor chapters in this game, mounted units suffer -2 movement, but that's not relevant to us now. What is relevant to us is these ledges. You can climb up a ledge at the cost of, I believe it's 3 movements. Mounted units can't climb ledges, another reason why they're not as good in this game as they are in Path of Radiance. And, okay, I can't double with the Steel Sword yet. The weight system for weapons is the same as it is in Path of Radiance. It's your strength minus the weapon's weight determines how much speed you lose. But anyway, these ledges. The main benefit for ledges is for ranged attacks, but they also provide interesting ways for units to get around the battlefield. For example, this archer here, he has a steel bow, he has 21 attack power. Micaiah has 4 defense. So, yeah, she's gonna get one-shotted by him. Normally, he'd only be able to go up there, but he can jump down this ledge and attack you, so be careful about that. Now, like I said, there is another benefit to ledges when it comes to range attacks, but we'll be going into that later. Now, let me just see if I can do 8 damage to you. Man, this chapter is so much more difficult on hard mode. On hard, I just turtled in the starting room for ages and ages. I think that's exactly enough for Edward to kill, though, which is good. More than enough for Edward to kill. I kind of like the background here. So, story time. This was one of the first pieces of footage that I ever saw for this game. Like an early, I think it was in Japanese, but yeah, early info for this game. It looked pretty nice. Okay, good strength. That was actually a pretty good level up too. Now let's just see. You can't get to him, and that's good. And you can't either. So Nolan is going to jump in this gap. And neither of you have javelins, right? Nope, just bronze lances. So, thanks to Weapon Triangle, Nolan is perfect for holding down the fort here. It's Nolaning time. Yeah, due to the lack of Weapon Triangle on hard, even Nolan can struggle against these soldiers, and their stats are much, much higher too. Yeah, this chapter on hard, well, I mean, the whole of Part 1 on hard is a whole different ballgame. For now, I think Micaiah's gonna... This means I won't be able to demo, Laura, but... Okay, yeah, I kind of want to demo Laura here for her healing, but I also would like to have Micaiah get a little experience, so let's go ahead and do that. I actually got pretty lucky with Edward's speed gains earlier. If he didn't gain speed in the earlier chapters, he sometimes doesn't double that fighter. And if he doesn't double that fighter, things actually get a little bit dicey on that end. So I'm glad I got decent luck with his level ups. I felt for sure that since I like Edward so much, he was going to get RNG screwed, but seems like he's not. Though I hope I haven't spoke too soon. Don't know why, but I kind of pictured this guy with a weirdly rural Australian accent. Don't know if it's the massage something. The gall and the intrigue. Now listen up, my men. Catch him midstream and fillet him like fish. I don't know why, I just find that funny sometimes. It's Nolaning time. Now, if one of these soldiers ever dodges during this chapter, you'll see something cool about the dodge animations in this game. At least for certain classes. And Soft's taking care of that lock, as he's going to point out. I should mention, though, I love the Dawn Brigade's player phase fanfare. The player phase fanfares and the enemy phase ones, for that matter, are much more, well, they're very short and snappy compared to the Path of Radiance ones, which could be quite long. Though there are only ever 4 phase fanfares in that game, if you don't count the partner and other phases. Now, I've got to be a bit careful up the top, because Edward will die to that second fighter attacking, unless I give him a potion. That's more typical Micaiah. You know, on my hard mode file, I actually had Micaiah camp defense without using a Draco shield. I don't know how that happened either. Maybe things won't be that dicey for Edward here. Cause, say it with me, it's Nolaning time! So glad I didn't miss, because then I would have eaten my words. I find on Nor mode, or Japanese hard mode, this archer is less inclined to jump down, but on hard, he will definitely jump down, so watch out for that. Also, stay away from these edges while the archers are there. In fact, I can actually show off the height mechanics now if I wanted to, but I'm not going to actually do it because then this fighter would attack Leonardo. Yeah, the map affinity is wind, and you'll notice that generic enemies have affinities too, so pay attention to that. Some of them will get 5% hit and evasion, thanks to the map affinity bonus. Not on hard mode, though. On hard mode, they don't need it. Their stats are just crazy. I actually did beat this game on hard once, but I don't ever want to do that again. Not recommended unless you want a serious challenge. It's pretty crazy. And yep, bad movement may just means Laura can't climb up a ledge this turn. Speaking of Laura, this map's victory condition is to have Laura arrive. Kind of a weird thing about arrive map in Radiant Dawn is that in Path of Radiance, the whole point of the arrive condition is that anyone could do it. In this game, almost every arrive chapter requires a specific character to arrive. There's even a mission that requires an NPC to arrive, and that's, well, that's pretty annoying. You'll be seeing that one later. So, height mechanics. If you're above a ledge, attacking an enemy below with a ranged weapon, you get +2 to your damage and +50 to your accuracy. And the enemy suffers -50 to their accuracy, but they do not suffer any reduced damage. So, for example, like as you can see here, this is what Leonardo looks like when he has the high ground, and here's what happens when Leonardo doesn't have the high ground. Yeah, that's a pretty big penalty and a pretty big boost to the enemy. So, height mechanics are completely unique to Radiant Dawn, and it's kind of a shame because I always thought they were really cool. I love the height mechanic in this game, and I wish more Fire Emblem games would bring it back. Gonna leave Leonardo down here because eventually reinforcements will be spawning from the bottom that will be nice to have height advantage over. I love how all the soldiers turn around. They should be scared of this guy. Also, Soft's line here is pretty awesome. So, a new character has joined. Here's Soft. His stats may vary depending on if you did a Path of Radiance transfer.
I may not have any special powers, but I've been told I have a fire inside.
While it's very atypical for a thief class to fill this role, Soft is effectively the Jagan of this game. And he's one of the few Jagans in the series who actually works the way they're supposed to. Invaluable early on, nearly useless by the end of the game. Weird thing is, I feel like this was unintentional. I think the developers really wanted Soft to be good. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Soft joins with amazing base stats in a promoted class. At this point in the game, he'll one-round almost every enemy, even with knives, and has some of the best defense and HP in Part 1, so he's one of your best tanks. That is, when he isn't dodging attacks outright. Now, technically, Soft is the first character to receive transfer bonuses, but his transfer bonuses are very unique. If Soft reached level 20 in a Path of Radiance transfer file, his final stats in that game will replace his Radiant Dawn base stats, whether they're higher or lower. This means Soft can potentially have 20 base strength, and 20 base defense. To me though, his default base stats are fine. He can do his job just as well without transfers. In Part 1, you'll likely need to rely on Soth a lot because the Dawn Brigade starts out very weak. Don't worry about him gaining too much experience because him being decently leveled will help in Part 3 too. If you want him to weaken enemies for your lower level members to finish off, you can buy bronze knives at your first base. They're some of the weakest weapons in the game and they can't critical. Beyond Part 1 though, things gradually start getting worse for him. Firstly, as he levels up, you'll realise that his growths aren't that great. His HP and defense won't look good for very long. By Part 3, he'll actually become a major glass cannon and very easily capable of dying, and his only real good stats are in skill and luck. Sure, his strength growth is good, but look at those strength caps. And that's the other main reason why Soth drops off hard later in the game. His caps, especially in 3rd tier, are awful. And yes, you are reading that right. Soth's 3rd tier class has 5 lower of a luck cap than his 2nd tier class. I have no idea what the developers were smoking when they decided to do that. Combine that with using the weakest weapon type in the game, and Soth will barely be of any use later on. Making this even worse is that Soth's 3rd tier class is the only one in the game not to learn the skill enemy instantly dies. Instead, he gets a skill that reduces the enemy to 1 HP. Speaking of skills, Soth no longer has Blossom. He now has a new skill called Guard, not to be confused with the Guard skill in Path of Radiance, which became this game's cancel. This skill gives Soth a chance of taking an attack aimed at an adjacent support partner, in this case Micaiah. By the way, Soth and Micaiah start with an A support, which is actually very useful during Part 1. What's not so useful is Guard. In order to give this skill a chance of activating, you need to let Micaiah get attacked, which you usually really don't want. Overall, Soth is a typical crutch character. Amazing early on, nearly useless later in the game. Unfortunately, Soth is considered a main character. Because of that, he's forced in most chapters he appears in, including Endgame. This is by far the worst thing about Soth. You're forced to bring him to Endgame, a point where he has lost all his usefulness. Thankfully, Endgame never requires you to deploy him, so you can just leave him on the bench. Also, since Soth technically is a main character, he gets a plot-based promotion. It happens at the end of Part 4 Prologue. It's kinda nice that you don't have to promote him manually, but look at those 3rd tier camps. Despite all that, remember that Soth is still fantastic in the early game, and you will probably be using him a lot there.
Soth is effectively our Jagan for this game. As you can see, he slaughters most enemies even with a bronze weapon. Also, knives. Knives have their own weapon rank in Radiant Dawn. They're also throwing knives, but Soth doesn't start with any of those, sadly. So let's see, let's bring Soth down here, and that's still enough to kill, yeah. So Soth is pretty typical Jagan at this point. He kills almost everything, and is at very little risk of ever dying. He'll be invaluable early in the game, but later in the game, let's just say that he drops off a lot. I could go for an Edward-Leonardo team-up here. Something that I don't usually like doing, because I don't like using Leonardo that much, but I wouldn't be opposed to Leonardo getting into heroes, though. I'd still love a classic Dawn Brigade banner with the 3 starting ones. Edward, Leonardo, and Nolan. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and heal Edward here. Although I just realized, yeah, Edward gets it. I only get attacked by 1 Bednion soldier, although admittedly that's a lance user. That guy has a steel lance, which is going to hurt Edward a lot. Let's, and Edward also will most likely get hit by this guy because I don't trust a 52 hit rate. But let's see. No, he didn't. Nice one. I love that little, like, tripping attack that Myrmidons do as their finishing blow. So, I'm going to want to put Soth down here. Okay, he can't go right into block, but he can block decently well. And I'm actually going to unequip Soth's weapon, because I would like Nolan and Edward to be getting most of the experience here. Maybe a little bit from Micaiah, but I don't really count on it. Why not? Just go ahead and use the Draco Shield now. Planning on using it on you anyway. There is someone who joins the Dawn Brigade later on who you definitely want to save a few stat boosters for if they don't get transfers. As you can see, if I'm unequipped, there's no battle animations. And you'll soon see another situation where there are no battle animations. Although, firstly, okay, right. I wanted to hand axe down on this guy, but heck, you know what? I can hand axe this guy right in front of me, and the other guy will presumably javelin himself to death in the enemy phase. It's Nolaning time, again. Don't worry, I'm not going to overuse that, but I still like that. I like saying it. Okay. I need to shove Laura to go to heal Nolan, and I don't want to do that with Micaiah, because then Micaiah will go... Yeah, she tends to go splat if an enemy so much as looks at her funny. Believe me, I found that out on hard mode. A lot. My early game, hard mode experience may as well have been called the many deaths of Micaiah. I'm pretty sure that's everyone's hard mode experience in this game. Oh, 1% critical would be nice right about now. Hasn't activated cancel yet either. You'll know when he activates cancel, trust me. Finally, I can actually call it cancel. Yeah, I've looked forward to being able to say that. And I've also really looked forward to this game in general. I just, I love Radiant Dawn. As you can probably tell by the excitement in my voice, I love Radiant Dawn so much. And yeah, Healing Staves are back to, Healing Staves have 40 uses. Just as they did in the English version of Path of Radiance. Now, you're probably going to go for Soth, aren't you? Yeah, I thought so. It's a universal law in Fire Emblem that enemies are magnetized to anybody who has their weapon unequipped. And you got completely slaughtered because I have the high ground. Of course Jared's here! He would just happen to be here, wouldn't he? I don't care about the other. That line's actually a little funny, because if Micaiah loses all her HP, she's pretty heavily implied to actually die rather than be captured alive. Speaking of Micaiah losing all of her HP... actually, she wouldn't get one-shotted by that, but yeah, don't do that anyway. It's a pretty bad idea. Oh yeah, Micaiah and Soth start with an A support. So that's why she has 10 crit here. Yeah, Micaiah and Soth are so canon, the only way to make them not canon is to intentionally delete their support. Yes, you can delete supports in this game. I'll be talking about that once we, okay, who goes down there? Sometimes I like to have Edward go down here, but I also like, let's see. And Edward's biorhythm is down, unfortunately. Just see, Iron Sword, you're not getting weighed down, and Edward has only one more speed than you, so yeah. Something to get down here to unlock the chest, though. So, what's inside chest number 1? In fact, I might as well look up a dagger on you. Because I want to kill this Myrmidon quickly. A Wind Edge. I love this sword so much. That's going on Edward right now. It's part of the reason why Sword Masters in this game are so much better than they are in Path of Radiance. And I actually like them in Path of Radiance, so that's saying something. Anyway, let's go ahead and heal you. I could shoot you down with Leonardo, but... You know what, let's just have Nolan run up here and equip his hand axe, which is already equipping. Because there's no way that Leonardo's going to miss the shot. Actually, Leonardo's going to stay around here. Like I said, there are some reinforcements that are going to come from the beginning of the map that I want to have some fun with. Though, mainly with my new Wind Edge. I love Wind Edges. I wish more games had Wind Edges. More games need easily accessible 1-2 range swords. It kind of fixes one of the biggest issues with, I just realized that you could crit me. Thankfully you didn't. But yeah, it fixes one of the biggest issues with sword users in Fire Emblem. Them being, like, them not having any good 1-2 range options. But they do in this game, and they're amazing for it. The 1-2 range swords in this game, which I explained before, but I'll say it again, they're all physical, not magical. Yeah, in fact, I don't think there are any magic weapons in Radiant Dawn at all. But they have low base hit rates, but that doesn't matter at all because Swordmasters have such high accuracy. And yes, that is the thing about dodging, speaking of hit rates. In this game, if a class that has a shield visible on their battle model dodges, instead of actually dodging, they block the attack with their shield, which I just find really cool. It's a nice touch. So Armor Knights do that too. And I guess we can get some high ground advantage with Micaiah now. I really want to trade that Wind Edge to Edward, but Soft needs to crack open this other chest. And that guy somehow threw his chest key up into the air towards Micaiah when he died. Yeah, I'm going to have to grab the Wind Edge now. And unfortunately, I'm not mounted, so I can't use up my remaining movement. Let's just go ahead and... Actually, you're going to stay there, because I can just have Laura jump down and heal you. And we're going to open this chest, because this chest is also very important. Thani, I think that's how it's pronounced. So, I don't know why these guys have a Micaiah exclusive tome in their treasury. Maybe they found it and they were like, oh, we better keep this locked away so it doesn't get into her hands. This is effective against armored units and cavalry, and it's actually one of the only reasons why Micaiah is not totally useless in part 1. It's one of the only things good about Micaiah in this part. So, actually, speaking of which... Speaking of useless, I need to be careful of Laura. Also, speaking of useless, Leonardo's been a lot more useful to me so far than he usually is. But it's mainly been focused on chip damage and just finishing off already weakened enemies. Okay, if I move Nolan, then Micaiah gets attacked by that guy, so just need to be careful. Yeah, even on not hard mode, well, I mean, this is hard mode in the Japanese version, but yeah, even on English normal, you still have to be very careful in the early chapters, because one mistake can easily spell a game over. This is one of the most unforgiving games in the series, especially early on. Oh, look at me, I can shove Micaiah into range of being impaled. That's a great idea! I thought you'd do that. Please don't get doubled. Yeah, I was pretty positive you wouldn't get doubled, but still. Okay, we'll be getting reinforcements soon, but I'll be ready for them. So let's have you climb up. Soft will get up here and give Micaiah that tome, because it just so happens that the boss of this chapter is an Armor Knight, so he's weak to Micaiah's new spell. Yeah, I think Micaiah needs the experience here the most. I could show what it looks like, but nah, there's no reason to use it if regular light is enough to kill. And in support range too, which is nice. Guess I can go into the battles, into the stat screen just to show briefly what the support bonus for these two is. +2 attack, +8 hit, +15 avoid. Not bad. Also, Soph has this guard skill, which redirects attacks aimed at supported allies towards himself. Yeah, in order for this skill to work, you need to let Micaiah get attacked, so no thanks. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen guard do anything in this game. Except in one case where a certain enemy has it, and it's very annoying, but... Like I said, in order to get the best use out of guard in this game, you actually have to let Micaiah get attacked, which is not a good idea. By any stretch of the imagination. Okay, now that steel bow is kind of dangerous even to Nolan, so... I like to... Go ahead and equip that, I'm going to have to heal up. It's a bit of a waste of a vulnerary, because that would normally recover 20 HP, but still... Now this boss, I'm pretty sure doesn't move, but I could be wrong. Speaking of the boss, on easy mode, aka Japanese normal, I think you all know what I mean by now when I say, like, that the difficulty levels were changed in the, well, were renamed in the English version, so I'll stop doing that. But on English easy mode, this is actually a route chapter. So, you're forced to kill everything on the map. But on any higher difficulty level, it's an arrival chapter, which, ironically, I think is actually easier. Anyway, I need to get Soth over here to open up that chest, but first, like I said, we're going to have some fun with these reinforcements. Actually, Edward doubling one of them might be a bad idea if he gets unlucky and gets hit, so I'm going to put Edward over here. Leonardo's going to go here, and... Okay, I was gonna say, oh yeah, I can shove Micaiah and do that. No, let's not do that, because then the steel bow guy would... Although if Nolan moved one space forward, Micaiah wouldn't be able to get attacked. I guess we can do that. Okay, here I actually have to use Fanny. I wonder if this comes from Thanatos. I'm not sure exactly what the origin of the tome name here is, but it looks very cool. I'm still sad that I haven't pulled Micaiah in Heroes. I've been trying, but haven't ever been able to do it. Because she seems pretty decent in that game. It's not hard to be much worse than she is in this game, but anyway. Okay, I'm going to have Nolan go here, and I'm going to have him not attack. Because, yeah, I don't want him to be taking too much damage. You'll see how much damage this steel bow does. Well, 9, but I did use the Draco Shield on Nolan. And Nolan is a bit of a tank. But as you can see, Nolan is still kind of in trouble here. And yes, that steel bow is droppable, but Leonardo needs to fire a lot of arrows in order to raise his rank enough to use it. But I suppose if you've been training him, he probably has a C rank in bows by now. Speaking of bows, and Leonardo... Okay, so he actually got hit there, which is a bit unlucky. But now, witness the magic. Oh yeah, the wind edge is a little heavy, isn't it? Yeah, it's 1 higher than your, But yeah, only 10% hit rate. You know, I guess I can do this. We'll need to heal you, though. Okay, on the very, 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 very off chance that you get hit, maybe I shouldn't risk that. I mean, it is a 10% under true hit, which is tiny. But... what the heck? Thank you. Like I said, 10% under true hit, which is pretty much nothing. But what's not nothing is this. So yeah, Micaiah can't attack through this wall. Something cool about Radiant Dawn is walls that you can attack through will have gaps in them. See, like, look at this. Like, this is a balcony that has gaps between those pillars. So any wall that has gaps in it is something that ranged attackers can shoot through. Any wall that's fully solid is something that ranged attackers can't shoot through. So I love the visual cues there. Now, if Micaiah does go here, she really, 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 really needs to, I mean, Nolan really, 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 really needs to kill this archer. Otherwise, Micaiah will go again. Although, if Nolan takes one step forward, this guy can't shoot Micaiah anyway. 95 on true hit is, again, pretty much a certainty, but... just in case the boss spontaneously decides to move. And yeah, thankfully this isn't a route chapter, because that gives Soph more time to grab that chest. Now, usually Micaiah isn't able to one-shot the boss with Fanny, but Nolan can easily weaken the boss enough to get him into kill range of her. Once Micaiah gains a little more magic, then she usually one-shots most armored and cavalry units with Fanny. Though, maybe in my playthrough she does have enough magic, we'll see. Okay, good, he gained strength. His speed's a little low for this point, but... I just realized the other guy's probably going to go for Leonardo. Maybe gain defense? Nah, that's not bad. I thought so. Dang it, I shouldn't have had Edward fight. Ironically, having Edward attack that guy and risking the 10% hit meant Edward, lost out on experience there. So I'm going to have to make it up. And that means there's a lot of wind affinity enemies in this map. That means, sadly, Edward's going to have to try and fight a lance user. I just want him to get a level up here. Not with the wind edge, though. Don't want to waste that, because it doesn't have a lot of uses. And I just realized I need Laura to arrive, so we should get moving. I'm pretty sure I've already passed the turn, the maximum bonus experience number of turns as well, so, yeah. But anyway, let me just see, Fanny versus you. However, I could get into soft support range. So, step 1, Nolan, weaken you. Don't move a finger, thief, or I'll skewer you with my lance and serve you for lunch. I'm so sorry again, but anyway. Just something about the way this guy looks that makes me think that he'd have a heavy Australian accent. Next step is Soth opens this chest, which conveniently also puts him in support range of Micaiah if she goes to attack the boss. Energy drop, another stat booster that I will be using as soon as possible. 92. Again, under true hit, that's almost a guarantee. The silver-haired maiden. I've got you. Lucky for you, Jared wants you alive. But there's no escaping now. Oh, our pompous. Trying to disappoint me, and I'll break both your arms. And now this is better hits. There we go. I think that would have been a one-shot anyway with soft support bonus. Sadly, that's, well, apart from defense, that's pretty typical Micaiah. Micaiah's getting a little defense bless in this run. With as many, we can't hold the back call for reinforcement. The reinforcements are already here, but I appreciate your effort. Speaking of I appreciate your effort, yeah, I'm gonna have to end this chapter quickly, otherwise Edward's in trouble. Ugh, that's not good. Well, at least he still hit, so that's experience. And yeah, due to sucky mage movements, Micaiah can't jump down this ledge. Nolan can, though he can't get very far afterwards. Right. I can't end this chapter now anyway, so as long as Edward only gets hit by one of these guys... There's the vulnerary here. Even that much HP was not Wrath range. So, it is pretty difficult to get Edward into Wrath in this early in the game. And even later, well, I mean, later in the game it's even harder to get Edward into Wrath because he never gets into Wrath because he dodges everything. Yeah, here's the other downside of Sacrifice. You can't choose how much HP Micaiah heals. So, if someone needs a lot of healing, like Nolan there, she's going down to 1 HP. And her being on 1 HP, honestly, is not that much different to Micaiah being at full health, because, yeah, she is stupidly fragile. Anyway, guess I could try and get a little more experience on Nolan here. But I'm pretty sure... Okay, you're gonna go for Nolan. Other guy, please go for Edward. Laura did move last turn. Yeah, she did. Okay, this is not that good of a hit rate, and that's probably because Biorhythm changed. But ironically, he hit both of them. No strength, but speed is nice. I usually like Edward to have at least 10 strength by now. But his speed's higher than it usually is for me at this point in the game, so that's decent. I wonder if I can... Yeah, I can get the energy drop to Edward this turn, because, yeah, I know that it's probably best saved for someone else, but I want to use the energy drop on Edward. So, let's just do that. There we go. So now you have enough strength to use the Wind Edge without any speed penalties. And now Nolan can get a bit of experience by whacking you. And we're almost done with this chapter. Next chapter will be a little bit harder, though. And with that, yeah, we're pretty much done. Unless, yeah, no, Laura can't heal and arrive at the same time. So let's do this. Like I said earlier, you don't need to do this on easy mode. On easy mode, this is a route chapter. And so, mission accomplished. Like I said, that chapter is pretty much filler, but it's enjoyable filler from a gameplay standpoint. I kind of like that map. It does a good job in teaching you the height mechanics. And also it gets you a wind edge. Any chapter that gets you a wind edge is fine by me. I love wind edges. Now, normally, I would say that's a monumentally stupid idea, but as it turns out... Micaiah actually sensed this and was deliberately going alone to give the others a chance, which is quite brave of her, but unfortunately that meant this chapter falls into the category of, you escape being captured only to get captured in a cutscene immediately afterwards. Suddenly this is Thrakia 776, Laura is a staff user so she can get instantly captured. That bird is now, I'm now imagining a guard trying to shoot that bird with a crossbow and then being like, I hate this forest. Well, you didn't capture Nolan and Soth, and that means you're doomed. So... And suddenly Micaiah's quoting Star Wars. Anyway, that's chapter over, and I'm pretty sure that's halved turn bonus. But we get a pretty good clear bonus from this one. Next time we have a chapter that can be trouble if you don't approach it the right way. And next time we'll be meeting some returning faces from Path of Radiance, so look forward to that.